Hi, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to show you how to draw this easy and quick eye using graphite pencils. So let's get started. As always, these are the art supplies I'm going to use for this drawing, and you can pause the video right here to note them down. I'm using this 250 GSM paper from my ordinary smooth surface sketchbook, which is available in almost all the art stores or stationeries around the world. So you don't have to use any fancy paper for this specific drawing. And the drawing portion area is 5 x 5 inches. Before moving on to the drawing process, let's mask the edges of this drawing paper using a masking tape to prevent graphite from spilling over the borders. I drew the outline using grid method, and you can find the detailed step-by-step process from making the grid to outlining on my Patreon profile. Link is in the description. Okay, so now let's start the shading process, and I'm firstly filling in the pupil using an 8B pencil. Make sure to thoroughly fill the whole portion, keeping the pressure high to achieve pitch black shade. I'm also adding these straight lines all along the curvature of the iris, keeping the angle and pressure low on my pencil. And when the first layer is done, I'm again going over it and adding another softer layer using the same 8B pencil. I'm also creating depth on the right side of the iris, but make sure to keep the pencil at very low angle to avoid any harsh lines or strokes. Now let's move on to the iris texture, and I'm adding this dot of random size and then lightly extending it upwards and downwards respectively. I'm keeping the length and size of these textural strokes random to mimic the natural look of the iris. Also notice that while working on the iris texture, I kept the tip of my pencil round, as the sharp tip makes the area look too defined and patchy. And by the way, you can get access to our premium content and support this channel through Patreon. You can sign up through different membership levels and get access to all the outlines and grid references, etc. We have an ever-growing library of hundreds of exclusive and real-time tutorials. And you will also get access to 4 new tutorials every month. You can also post your artworks in our active community of patrons and participate in our weekly critique sessions, where I give my honest and positive critiques on your artworks, so you can improve your skills and get better with your drawing. Visit the link in description and become a premium member today. It has always been my goal to provide free tutorials and information on drawing and art related tools to general public. And keeping with that theme, I would like to thank all these incredible individuals who backed our channel on Patreon last month. Their generous support enabled me to produce this free tutorial for all of you guys. I'm also shading the rest of the sclera and eye portion using the same 8B pencil by maintaining a variable pressure. When the base layer is done, grab your bigger size dry brush and start blending the required areas. Make sure to use circular motions while blending this layer to achieve a smooth base. For the smaller intricate ones, I'm switching towards my medium sized dry brush to avoid smudging or spilling. I'm going over some of the areas using tissue paper to achieve a smooth base. Okay, so with these easy steps, our 3D base is ready. And now it's time to add skin texture. As the texture is a bit blurry and blended, so I'm using my perfection eraser with a very low angle and lifting up this excessive graphite. I'm adding these small and broad strokes to create the required texture, just like the reference image. Now to add more dimension and brighter highlights, I'm adding another layer of mono zero eraser highlights over and in between the previous strokes we just added. Some of the darker details seems a bit dull, so I'm using this dirty side of my blending stump to lightly shade these portions. I'm again shifting towards my perfection eraser to add some dimension to the area under the eyelashes. I'm also going in between the eyelash hair to tone them down a little bit. The lower portion has soft blended highlights, so I'm shifting towards my kneaded eraser and picking up the excessive graphite. I'm also kneading it in between to increase its effectiveness. Notice that I'm kneading my eraser in different thickness of the tip to achieve the required highlight. The waterline is missing some shadows, so to shade the area, I'm firstly scraping some 8B pencil over the paper to convert it into the powder. And now picking up this graphite from the paper using a medium-sized dry brush and shading the required area very carefully. You can also use a graphite powder or shade the area directly using a lighter grade pencil. I'm blending this layer thoroughly using my bigger sized blending stump, and look how smooth it has started to look. And now it's time to add the highlights, and I'm using my sharp tip perfection eraser for this purpose. I'm adding these small lines and strokes by keeping the pressure variable to achieve softer and brighter highlights. And try to avoid overlapping these highlights over the darker texture, or else your drawing will start to look less detailed. When the base highlights are in place, it's time to add brighter highlights. And I'm using my round tip mono zero eraser. I'm going over the base highlights we just added and look how realistic it has started to look. I'm also adding a few new strokes in between the previous ones to make the area look more 3D and realistic. The darker details around the iris look a bit dull to me, so I'm adjusting them using my 8B pencil. You can just skip this step if your drawing is looking just as fine as we need here. I'm also cleaning the spill of the graphite from the reflection of light in the iris to give it a more defined look. And now it's time to add veins texture. And I'm using my sharp tip 8B pencil with a very low angle to add the required wavy texture. I'm using variable pressure to add these strokes for the veins. But if you are not comfortable with pressure technique, you can also use B pencil for this purpose. And avoid making the lines too straight or uniform, as veins tend to have irregular shapes and paths. Now when the basic vein structure is in place, I'm going over some veins using a small blending stump. And it will make the texture look more blended and soft. Okay, so now it's time to add eyelashes, and when we look at the reference image, only the eyelashes on the right top portion are in focus. The rest of them on the upper eyelid are blurry. So I'm adding these strokes for the blurry eyelashes in the left area first using my 8B graphite pencil. And I'm keeping the angle on my pencil very low to achieve a blended stroke. Okay, so now I'm using my small blending stump to blend the lashes as well as to create a blurry look by subtly going over the whole lash stroke, just like this. I'm again going over a few strokes using my 8B pencil to add the required depth. Now moving on to the center ones, and I'm increasing the angle and pressure on my pencil and adding these strokes for the focused eyelashes. And make sure to notice the length and thickness and direction of the lashes before adding them. Start at the root of the lashes and gradually flick your pencil towards the tip, keeping the direction of the lashes in mind. This method helps the lashes look connected and gives them a fuller look. I'm also blending the ends of the top right lashes using a blending stump to achieve the required effect. And when the eyelashes are in place, I'm using my blending stump to blend some of them. I wasn't satisfied with the final results, so now I'm going over the required portion using my kneaded eraser. And look how blended the ends of the lashes have started to look now. And notice that I'm also adding the reflection of the lower lashes onto the iris. Such small details make the drawing look more detailed and realistic. Okay, now moving on to the lower lid, and I'm firstly defining the waterline by adding this thin arc using a mono zero eraser. And now I'm adding the skin texture by following the similar process as I did for the upper eyelid. Now it's time to add the lower lashes, and I'm repeating the exact technique and process as I did for the upper eyelashes. But keep in mind that the lower lashes are relatively smaller and less dense than the upper lashes. I'm also adding some darker details and reflection of eyelashes in the upper portion of the iris, just like the way I did for the lower ones. And now I'm going back and forth with my tools and adding some final touches to this whole center portion. And with this last step, we are done with this super quick and easy eye drawing. Creating these free tutorials needs a significant amount of time and energy. So if you found this one valuable, please show your support by liking this video. Your support keeps me inspired to bring you more creative content. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.